Hello, this is Ali welcoming you to the 2148th edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper, Dateline 21st of June 2018. The readers this week are Ali, Jeanne, Kitty and John, with Peter on the controls. The editor was Phillip, and the production and distribution team is Keith, Joan, Jeanne and Reena. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Pree, Bernard Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from the Enfield Independent and the Edmonton 100 Historical Society newsletter, and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The lead story this week is Fraudsters Jailed. Before the news, we have one or two special news items and notices. First, the sunrise and sunset times for the week beginning the 25th of June 2018 are sunrise at 04:44, sunset at 21:21. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diana Jersey on 020-8805-6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now, Jane will read the first item of local news.
Fraudsters jailed. A group of unscrupulous builders who defrauded a woman in her 80s of her home in North London have been jailed for a total of 10 years. Roger Knight, 44, of Meridian Way, Enfield, was among 4 rogue tradesmen who targeted the woman in 2008 and told her she needed repair works done to her home. When the victim said she couldn't afford the work, she was introduced to John Paul O'Connor, 36, of Sevenoaks, as someone who could purchase her house and complete the works while she continued living there. The pensioner was marked to a solicitor and sold the house to O'Connor for less than a third of its market value. He was then told to write out 4 cheques totalling £70,000, which were paid into 2 accounts in the name of Roger Knight. Once cleared, the cash was removed from the accounts. Samuel Smith, 40, of Old Park Road, Charville, then targeted the woman, saying the house needed underpinning and defrauded her of £37,000. In 2013, the victim was told she could repurchase the house and, with financial help from a friend, transferred £27,000 into an account held by John Keenan, 39, of Arrow Close, Luton. Keenan took immediate steps to dissipate those funds before police became aware of the offences and launched an investigation. Officers found Keenan had credited his 11-year-old daughter's account with over £100,000 cash over an 18-month period, which was spent on luxury goods. DC Rob Enderby of the Met's criminal finance team said, "This group repeatedly targeted this victim. It will be a long time, if ever, that the victim's faith in others is restored. But I hope that the conviction of this group will at least help her to begin to feel safer." The 4 men appeared at Southwark Crown Court on Friday. O'Connor pleaded guilty to fraud by false representation and was sentenced to 4 years and 9 months imprisonment. He agreed to sign the house back over to the victim. Knight pleaded guilty to money laundering concerned in an arrangement and was sentenced to 18 months, suspended for 2 years. Smith pleaded guilty to 2 counts of fraud by false representation and was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. Keenan pleaded guilty to 2 counts of money laundering and was sentenced to 43 months imprisonment.
Paralympian gives medals to pupils. Disabled pupils who competed in a sports tournament were given silver medals from a Paralympian. The children from Westley School in Haverley Road and Waverley School in The Ride, Enfield, met Baroness Tannygray Thompson at the Copper Box Arena on Thursday. The team finished second in the Parathlon Multisports Finals at the London 2012 venue. It included sports from boccia, precision beanbag, to new age curling and field athletics, as well as table cricket. Matthew Key, 15, a pupil at Westley School, used to be a self-confessed couch potato, whose autism contributed to him being sullen, angry and difficult in PE lessons. But after taking part in the Panathlon, he said, "There's no doubt about it. Panathlon has given me a better future. It has let me focus that negative energy into something positive instead of just mucking about. I've now started boxing at Finchley Amateur Boxing Club. One day, Anthony Joshua came in and sparred with me. My nose started bleeding, but despite that, I just wanted to keep going. My ultimate ambition is to get every belt in the heavyweight division. It is honestly Panathlon that has lit that fire in me." He added, "It means a lot to compete here because I idealize Olympians and Paralympians, and to know that they've performed where I'm competing right now means a lot. It shows I'm following in their footsteps." Baroness Gray-Thompson, winner of 11 Paralympic gold medals, added, "Panathlon is amazing because it brings sport and physical activity to a range of people who might not be so easily able to access it otherwise. What's really important is that the Panathlon gives these young people the confidence to have a go. It makes them feel really positive about themselves."
Have your say on hospitals' future. A Health Watch group will give people the chance to influence the future direction of a hospital. Health Watch Enfield is letting people talk to the Chief Executive of North Middlesex University Hospital about its priorities and high-quality care. They will also ask how the hospital should develop over the next 5 years. North Middlesex University Hospital wrote on its website, "Standing still is not an option for the hospital. It must respond to the changing needs of the local population and work with the health system across North and Central London." The events will be taking place on Tuesday, July the 10th from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Executive Suite at the Dugdale Centre, Enfield Town, and on Wednesday, July the 11th from 3:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Community House, 311 4 Street, Edmonton. To book, visit www.healthwatchenfield.co.uk or telephone 020 8373
who had 3 heart attacks joins charity campaign. A runner who survived 3 heart attacks in front of his family has joined a campaign to face his fears. Jem Hilmy, 44, from Palmer's Green, is becoming the face of the British Heart Foundation's Face a Fear Challenge to fund research into heart and circulatory disease. Mr. Hilmy was 36 and training for the Great North Run and London Triathlon in 2011 when he suffered a heart attack in front of his wife and daughter while washing the dishes. He said, "It didn't hit me about what had happened whilst I was in the hospital. I just wanted to get out of there and be able to do things for myself. I think I was in denial that I'd had a heart attack. It just felt like a bad dream." Mr. Hilmy spoke about the experience of the attack psychologically, how he felt isolated and fearful for his family once he had recovered. He said, "It was when I was discharged that it hit me. I felt alone. I was depressed, emotional and scared as well. And falling asleep, I would fear that I would have a heart attack in my sleep and my wife would find me dead. I was so tearful all the time. It was really out of character." Mr. Hilmy was saved when a stent was fitted to keep his artery open and improve blood flow in his heart. Afterwards, his wife Rosa spoke to a nurse who referred him to a cardiac rehabilitation program, which he said put him back on his feet and back to health. 6 months to the day since his heart attack, he ran the Great North Run and achieved a personal best. He added, "Without the cardiac rehabilitation, I don't know where I would be today. We believe I had 3 heart attacks in total, but we're still not sure why this happened. I was fit and healthy and had low cholesterol." Mr. Hilmy is supporting the British Heart Foundation's Face a Fear Challenge, asking the people in the capital to be fearless in their support of the charity. He added, "I've been fundraising for the British Heart Foundation ever since because I want to turn this experience into a positive one. In fact, I'm taking part in the BHF's London to Brighton bike ride this weekend, which will be my 5th since I had my heart attack. I'm proud to be supporting their Face a Fear campaign this year and encouraging others to sign up to face what they're scared of and fundraise towards their incredible and life-saving research."
100 new trains for Piccadilly Line. Transport for London TLF, has announced a £1.5 billion contract to build nearly 100 new trains along the Piccadilly line in order to increase peak time capacity by 21,000. Contract has been awarded to Siemens Mobility, who will begin building 94 new tube trains along the Piccadilly line from 2023 onwards. By the end of 2026, the number of peak services every hour will have increased from 24 to 27, and the transport body are hoping that by the end of the 2020s, an additional 21,000 customers will be able to board trains every hour during peak times. Mike Brown, Commissioner of TfL, said, "We are delivering the biggest investment programme in our history to continue to improve customers' journeys."
Former pupils class act. St Paul's group meet up after 50 years. 50 years ago, they were fresh-faced 11-year-olds about to leave the security of their primary school and head into the wider world of secondary education. The pupils, now adults, returned to St Paul's School in Winchmore Hill, Enfield. Many of the pupils hadn't been back since 1968, and of the original 65 pupils, 25 were reunited. One pupil, Liz Fuse, now lives in Japan. Another, Andrew Wells, has settled in Berlin. It's not the first time some have got together, but it was the largest gathering they've ever managed. David Wells, Andrew's identical twin, and now a secondary school teacher in Kent, led the group that tracked down the class members. He said, "We used a variety of sources to try and locate these former pupils, including Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, or simply telephoning parents who are in their late 80s or early 90s and still live in the area. They aren't all far-flung. A few still live in Winchmore Hill, and some have migrated only as far as Hertfordshire." David Wastel, who lives in North London, said, "For many of us, it was our first St Paul's fete for 50 years. We all had fond memories of the Lucky Dip, the bottle stall, and maybe not quite so fond when we had to take part in displays of country dancing. It's all much more sophisticated now, but the community atmosphere that made it a great school for all of us seems to be the same as ever." The class also got to meet their teacher from 1968, David Morgan, originally from Wales, who worked at St Paul's for 10 years before becoming head of an Edmonton primary school. Mr Morgan, now 83, joined his former pupils for lunch in a nearby pub. He was accompanied from his home in Enfield by his son Hugh, who said it had been an emotional day to meet so many people who had so much enjoyed being taught by his father. Leslie Hayes, one of his former pupils, said it was so lovely to see him after all these years. David Wells said, "Our teachers provided us with very good education that enabled us to attain our potential at secondary school and beyond." The former pupils vowed to return another year, agreeing with one another, "We'll be back."
Mayor highlights work of charities. Enfield's new mayor has chosen to back 13 charities that support people in the borough during her time in office. Councillor Sarah Caracas, who became mayor on May the 23rd, will help to raise funds for a range of lesser-known organisations that work in the community, as well as more high-profile charities such as Mind and Age UK. Mayors often nominate one or two charities to support during their time in office, but Councillor Caracas said she wanted to raise the profile of her chosen organisations. These include Enfield Voluntary Action, which supports voluntary and community groups in the borough, and mental health charity Enfield Clubhouse. She said, "It's not just about money. It is to raise their profile and attract awareness and interest in these organisations." A number of the charities reflect Councillor Caracas' interest in the performing arts. The new mayor has previously worked in community theatre as an actor and scriptwriter. She said, "It is really important because it is a way of bringing communities together. Art and theatre gave me so much. I'm going to try my best to be the voice of these organisations and others that are not on my list. We have to support local people, and these are the causes that enhance people's lives in Enfield. The full list of the Mayor's charities is as follows: Enfield Voluntary Action, Mind in Enfield, the Children's Society, Platinum Dance School for Performing Arts, Age UK, One to One Enfield, Face Front Inclusive Theatre, Enfield Clubhouse, Noah's Ark Children's Hospice, Edmonton Eagles Boxing Club, Macmillan Cancer Support, Reading Agency Book Trust, and finally, Oasis
who
Hadley
kidnapped a man
Cadets.
by throwing him into the back of a car in front of horrified passers-by, have been jailed for 11 years each. Lee Ossay, 38, of Priory Close, Stanmore, and Christopher Cook, 31, of no fixed address, attacked the man in Marquis Road, Wood Green, before forcing him to get into a silver car and driving off before 12:49 a.m. on October the 4th. A few hours later, at 2:20 a.m., Ossay returned to the scene of the crime. He went back at 5 a.m. when he was arrested. Cook was later arrested in Bounds Green Road, Wood Green. The 47-year-old victim was then found in High Road, Friern Barnet at 11 a.m. on October the 5th with serious facial injuries. The man was taken to hospital where he was treated for fractures, swelling and a broken ankle, but has since recovered from his injuries. The duo were sentenced at Wood Green Crown Court on Monday after being convicted of GBH and kidnapping on April the 6th. Cook was also convicted of possession of a Class A drug.
College offers free tuition for a year. Students will be able to study for free at the College of North East London, Connell, Haringey and Enfield for the next year. Anyone over the age of 19 will not have to pay tuition fees for all full and part-time courses from entry level to level 2 at Tottenham and Enfield for 2018 to 2019. Get the course for free. Prospective students must fulfil the entry requirements of their chosen course, complete an eligibility residency assessment, and if working, provide a copy of their latest payslip. Courses include accounting, business and construction. Deputy Principal Kurt Hintz said, "Adults have been telling us that education is too expensive and many are trapped in low-paid, low-skilled work. So next year, we've decided to offer all of our entry level 1 and level 2 courses for free. We want to give as many people as possible the chance to study and gain extra skills without worrying about the burden of tuition fees. Our superb courses are taught by excellent tutors, many of whom have worked in the industries they teach and are experts in their field. Come to Connell and take advantage of this fantastic opportunity to boost your skills and employment prospects." Connell was recently named the best college in England for student satisfaction and was top in London for employer satisfaction for a second successive year. The college is rated good by Ofsted following its most recent inspection and had an overall pass rate across all curriculum areas of 91.9% in 2016-17. Level 3 courses and above still require payment of tuition fees. Call 020 8442 3055 or visit the website www.connell.ac.uk for more information.
TfL could increase fares to pay for improvements. A transport campaigner has said that Transport for London, TfL, needs to consider increasing passenger fares in order to improve rail services. The London Assembly met with people working to improve the transport industry to discuss the future of rail services in London this week. While there was overall agreement between Assembly members that the services needed to be improved, there were major concerns about how this could be done. TfL have a deficit of nearly £1 billion this year. Labour London Assembly member Tom Copley was the first to raise this issue, asking how improved rail services would be paid for. David Leam, Infrastructure Director for London First, a campaign group working to improve public transport in London, said TfL will have to rely on central government grants, but we have to be realistic that this will not cover all costs. One of the biggest challenges we have in London is funding transport improvements. We need to start to look at doing this through increased fares or taxes. Londoners are going to have to do their bit. In 2017, TfL received £2.35 billion in central government grants, making up 23% of its funding. In the same year, it got £4.8 billion from passenger fares, which made up 47% of its funding. But at a meeting between the Assembly and the Transport Body yesterday, concerns were raised about the reliability of income from fares due to declining passenger numbers and a fare freeze on 70% of TfL services. Mr. Leam suggested that the demand for rail travel in the capital had gone down because more people are working part-time and from home. He added, "We need to look at how rail tickets can match the changing needs of people's day-to-day lives better. There is uncertainty over demand for public transport at the moment. There are changes in people's working activities. People are shopping online and coming into central London less."
Charity's plea: stop killing each other. Gangs Unite group give youngsters second chance in life. The founder of a charity helping young people with troubled backgrounds reinvent themselves has issued an impassioned plea for gang members to lay down their weapons and stop killing each other. Colin James set up the Walthamstow-based charity Gangs Unite in 2011 to give youngsters sucked into gang activity a second chance in life. Mr. James, who is originally from Hackney, first became involved with a gang in his community at the age of 8 and went on to commit a series of crimes. But after an experience with God, which he says resulted in his miraculous change, Mr. James began reaching out to youths heading down the gang route to offer them an alternative. When asked what he would say to the young men and women in Waltham Forest in the wake of the recent spate of violent crimes, Mr. James said, "I would tell them to realise that life is about living and they've got to look at life from a different perspective. They are our future and they need to stop killing each other or there will be no one to carry our legacy." And that is Gangs Unite's mission, to stop the killing. Everybody wants answers and things are very unpredictable at the moment. People are looking for some kind of hope and Gangs Unite is a safe place. We feel the heartbeat of the community. Funded by private donors, the organisation caters for both boys and girls in their teens and early 20s in Waltham Forest, Haringey and Enfield. It offers a number of services, such as alternative education for students who have been expelled from school, gang outreach, victim support and mentoring. Mr. James said he has received queries from as far afield as Sheffield and Nottingham from parents who are desperate to find help for their troubled teens. "It's going crazy at the moment with the demand for our services," he said. "People say they've never seen an organisation like us. We come from a simple approach and we deal with people with respect. Most of the young people we meet have even been told that they're special. They may have been promised things by so many people coming into their lives, and they haven't fulfilled those promises, so they don't trust people. But we are here for the long distance. Young people are the best at judging character. They can tell you're genuine, whether you're genuine or not. Sport is a big part of the charity's work, with members taking part in boxing lessons, weight training and football tournaments. Having struggled with anger issues in his early years, Mr. James knows all too well the importance of being able to express your emotions in a healthy way. The youth worker encourages participants to use sport to unleash emotions trapped inside and better themselves through discipline and fitness. He added, "We are not products of our environment. We are the environment.
London
We
Assembly
produce.
calls for cervical
Reach
cancer
one,
awareness.
teach one."
The London Assembly is calling for the Mayor to increase the promotion of cervical cancer screening following a drop in the number of women being screened in the capital. NHS figures have revealed that out of all the women in London eligible for the cervical cancer screening, only 65.7% of them actually have the test. London has the lowest number of women in the country taking the test. London Assembly member for Waltham Forest, Jeanne Arnold, described this as a worrying move in the wrong direction and called for the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, to help. As Arnold said, cervical screenings save lives, and it's clear that more must be done to encourage all eligible women to undertake them. It's vital the Mayor takes action to address this serious health inequality. That's why I'm backing calls for Sadiq Khan to look into how we can promote awareness of cervical screening in the capital. Cervical screening, also known as a smear test, looks for abnormal cells in the cervix that can develop into cancer.
5 of the best herbal teas. Brits have long been known for their love of a good cup of tea, and the trend doesn't seem to be waning anytime soon. According to the Tea and Infusions Organisation, we currently drink around 60 billion cups per year. Builder's Brew firmly remains our favourite tipple. The herbal teas have been enjoying something of a revival in recent years, thanks to a growing interest in health and well-being. Herbal tea is made by boiling herbs or spices in water to extract the active ingredients. As well as being good for the soul, there are plenty of health benefits too. Here are just 5 of our punch-packing favourites. Green tea helps to give you an energy boost. Loaded with antioxidant and flavonoids, a warming cup of green tea can help to ward off free radicals, unstable molecules in the body that damage healthy cells. Studies have also found that it can protect against heart disease, clear up acne, and act as a powerful anti-inflammatory. Plenty of people drink green tea throughout the day, but it is worth remembering that it naturally contains caffeine. So if you're a restless sleeper, it's better to get your hit first thing in the morning. Chamomile tea helps to get a good night's rest. Gentle and calming. Experts have claimed that the flavonoids in this sedative tea act as a mild tranquilizer and sleep inducer, binding to benzodiazepine receptors in the brain. Just the tonic to help you switch off next time you are tossing and turning in the early hours. Several studies have also linked chamomile to reducing menstrual pain, target inflammation, and lessening migraines. Turmeric tea helps to relieve joint pain. Also known as golden milk, turmeric tea might just be one of the healthiest beverages going. Curcumin, the active ingredient in turmeric, which is responsible for its brilliant yellow colour, is where the health benefits lie. As an anti-inflammatory, a 2017 study found that curcumin could reduce the most prominent symptoms of arthritis and joint pain. Researchers have also credited the tea for boosting immune function and lowering cholesterol. Peppermint tea helps calm an irritable stomach. Often referred to as the stomach healer, this fragrant tea will be your best friend during your next hangover. Why? Because studies have found that menthol has antispasmodic effects which can help soothe many stomach ailments, including aches, pains, cramps, and even flatulence. Drinking a cup of peppermint tea in the days leading up to menstruation may also help to treat any stomach upsets. Echinacea tea helps fight off flu. Just because it's summer doesn't mean you're safe from being knocked down with a nasty cold. The good news that tea can help. Drinking echinacea has been found to be effective in shortening the duration of cold and flu symptoms, while one study found that it could reduce the odds of developing a cold by 58%.
Healthy Enfield campaign. School children are being encouraged to eat more fruit and veg as part of a campaign to get them healthier. Schools across the borough are working with the council's Enfield catering services to get their youngsters to eat more greens. At lunch, children were served fruits and smoothies to help them achieve their 5 a day for the council's Healthy Enfield campaign. Enfield Council's cabinet member for Children's Services, Councillor Achilles Georgiou, said, "School meals are a great way of helping children achieve their 5 a day. We know the huge health benefits that regularly eating a variety of fruit and vegetables can have. So we're really keen to catch children as early as we can. We have to teach them the importance of a good diet so they can develop good eating habits." For more information about school meals, visit www.mysschoollunch.co.uk. www.ncom.uk/Enfield.
And another health article here under the heading Air Pollution is a National Health Crisis. The Mayor of London is calling on the government to ban the sale of new diesel and petrol vehicles by 2030. Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, will meet with the leaders from other cities in England and Wales at a National Air Quality Summit alongside MPs and the Environment Secretary, Michael Gove, on Wednesday. Leaders will urge the government to bring forward plans to phase out the selling of new petrol and diesel cars and vans from 2030 in a bid to improve air quality. Mr. Khan said, "Air pollution is not an isolated problem. It's a national health crisis. Our country's filthy air is shortening lives, damaging lungs, and severely impacting on the NHS. That's why we're bringing together city leaders from across England and Wales to put this at the top of the agenda. We have to take bold action, but while we're all doing what we can, we need government support to do even more." Leaders at the summit will also say that they want to play their part nationally to improve air quality and prioritise action to reduce transport emissions, as well as creating a Clean Air Act that enforces strict air pollution limits. Mr. Khan added, "Michael Gove has made a good start as Environment Secretary, but we need the government to match our ambition and help us urgently drive forward these improvements." Research from the universities of Oxford and Bath has claimed that poor air quality contributes to 40,000 premature deaths each year. The Worldwide Fund for Nature also found that banning sales of new petrol and diesel cars and vans in 2030 would result in a 30% reduction in pollution during that decade. Last week, Mr. Khan also announced official plans to expand the ultra-low emission zone to the North and South Circular roads by 2021 in a bid to tackle air pollution. The zone will form a protected area in which most vehicles will need to meet exhaust emission standards or pay a daily charge. But the plans have been met with controversy by people who have said that this will affect
Here's a letter from
the poorest people
S.
in
Scott,
society.
which he sent by email. Foxes are a real problem. I read Mrs. Andrews' letter, Cuddly Little Killers, letters June the 6th, a couple of weeks ago, and I agree it is horrible to see the birds and amphibians being killed. However, in the matter of excrement, it sounds much more likely that a fox has been the main killer of the birds. Our local cats can kill the odd animal, but the large number of foxes do the most damage, particularly the excrement. Foxes are not afraid, and we often see them in the back gardens and walking down our road in daylight. I feel foxes are more of a problem with the local wildlife. Cats would naturally investigate any dead creature in their territory and may mistakenly be blamed for killing it.
Jennifer Holt, sent by email, having also read about Cuddly Little Killers on June the 6th, said, "I'm wondering whether this person is ignorant, misguided or a lunatic. Someone who thinks birds and frogs are part of their family is perhaps not entirely sane. I find it strange that she watched the cat killing the fledglings. Didn't she think to chase it away? If she has mobility problems, then a water pistol would be a good idea. Why hasn't she made the garden more cat-proof? It may be that the cat seems to be the regular killer in her garden is feral and therefore relies on wildlife for food. It probably also kills rodents that would kill more birds than it does. It is not being cruel or spiteful. These are human behaviours. A cat just acts on instinct. It is nature. It is ridiculous to say that all cats are killers and all cats have fleas. Responsible cat owners treat their cats against fleas, and I have had several cats that lived to old age and only 2 occasionally killed birds and mice. I currently have robins nesting in my garden, so I keep my cat out of there as much as I can. But when he has been in the garden with me, he watches them flying, but has made no attempt to chase them or go to the nest. Many people rely on cats as their only companions, and far from being a health hazard, as M. Andrews claims, can help lower blood pressure and help improve depression. Perhaps she would benefit from being introduced to a placid, friendly cat. By the way, Birds wake me up at dawn, and my patio is full of bird droppings. But I wouldn't dream of writing to the paper complaining that they are being spiteful, unpredictable and cruel.
Celebrating Enfield's literary history. A literary festival is showing off the literary history of the London Borough. The Enfield Literary Festival will start on June the 22nd from 5 p.m. and run through to June the 30th, finishing at 10 p.m. Established by Martin Russo, founder and editor of N2 for Enfield, to shine a light on culture within Enfield and inspire others to channel their energy into the creative arts. Mr. Russo said, "I am delighted to celebrate Enfield's illustrious literary history with an event that caters for a variety of interests. It has been great to have the support of Enfield Council to help make an idea come alive." The festival will comprise of a series of lectures and workshops, with tickets on sale at the Dugdale Centre box office. Highlights will include school children from across Enfield participating in the festival with poetry readings, developed in collaboration with local poets.
And I have a letter from Ken Rolland of Ferncrafts Limited in Enfield Town in response to the proposed redevelopment of a local car park. Jeanne Road Car Park has always been voted the most popular car park serving Enfield Town. Its unique position, set at the eastern side of the town, means its customers can enter and leave Enfield Town without having to drive right around the main town. This greatly decreases pollution from fumes and lowers traffic density in the town. At a time when every town in England has been asked to seek ways to make their town healthier, doing away with the car park would add pollution and congestion to our town. It is just not acceptable. Our councillors must take this on board when coming to their decision. Now, apart from its unique position compared to any other car park, for example, cutting traffic density and lowering pollution for the town, most importantly, it is vital in the commercial success of the businesses in Enfield Town. The loss of trade due to the closure of Jeanne Road car park will be fatal for the majority of the shops on the eastern side of town. Once this car park has gone, there is no other available land suitable for a car park to serve the eastern side of Enfield Town. When it's gone for good. In times gone by, when our councillors were there to protect the interest of the people and to maintain and improve the town, a destructive and commercial move like this could never have happened. We live in very different times. After all, an office can be built anywhere, not only in this town, but in any of all the pleasant towns lying just north of here. Our Jeanne Road car park cannot.
Event on Saturday,
it is
the
unique
30th of June at the Dugdale Centre, this time 4 to 5 p.m. £5 is the cost. A talk by Linda Carey about what links Keats to Enfield. Linda Carey offers an exploration of life for Keats in Enfield and discusses how it could have informed inspiration for his work. This is an extract from Poetry Foundation. John Keats, who died at the age of 25, had perhaps the most remarkable career of any English poet. He published only 54 poems in 3 slim volumes and a few magazines. But at each point in his development, he took on the challenges of a wide range of poetic forms, from the sonnet to the Spenserian romance to the Miltonic epic, defining anew their possibilities with his own distinctive fusion of earnest energy, control of conflicting perspectives and forces, poetic self-consciousness, and occasionally dry, ironic wit. In the case of the English ode, he brought its form in the 5 great odes of 1819 to its most perfect definition. In his own lifetime, John Keats would not have been associated with other major romantic poets, and he himself was often uneasy among them. Outside his friend Leigh Hunt's circle of liberal intellectuals, the generally conservative reviewers of the day attacked his work with malicious zeal as mawkish and bad-mannered, as the work of an upstart, vulgar Cockney poetaster, John Gibson Lockhart, and as consisting of the most incongruous ideas and the most uncouth language, John Wilson Croker. Although Keats had a liberal education in the Boys' Academy at Enfield and trained at Guy's Hospital to become a surgeon, he had no formal literary education. Keats today is seen as one of the canniest readers, interpreters, questioners of the modern poetic project, which he saw as beginning with William Wordsworth, to create poetry in a world devoid of mythic grandeur, poetry that sought its wonder in the desires and sufferings of the human heart. Beyond his precise sense of the difficulties presented him in his own literary historical moment, he developed with unparalleled rapidity, in a relative handful of extraordinary poems, a rich, powerful, and exactly controlled poetic style that ranks Keats with William Shakespeare of the sonnets as one of the greatest lyric poets in English.
Come to Tate, Britain on Monday the 16th of July. Fire and Ice, comparing two masterpieces by Turner and Constable. Join Tate's audio describers for a description of two great masterpieces of 1830, John Constable's Salisbury Cathedral from the Meadows and J.M.W. Turner's Caligula's Palace. This is the first time that these two paintings have hung alongside each other since they were first ever displayed at the Royal Academy in 1830. Tate's framing department has just reframed the Constable painting, and they have given us a sample of the exact frame and materials that they used. Marcus will facilitate handling of these objects in order to give an understanding of how Tate has authentically recreated a frame from the 1830s, the exact period of this painting. This is free and no booking is required. Please meet in the Manton studio at 10:30 for refreshments, and the tour is between 11 and 12:15. Chairs and hearing support equipment will be provided.
Notice of NHS meetings. North Central London Primary Care Committee in Common met today on Thursday the 21st of June. Dates of future meetings. Thursday, the 16th of August, 2018, 3 p.m. until 5 p.m, Camden CCG, room 6LM1, Stevenson House, 75 Hampstead Road, London, NW1, 2PL. Thursday, 18th of October, 2018, 3 till 5 p.m, venue to be confirmed. Thursday, 20th of December, 2018, 3 until 5 p.m, venue to be confirmed. Thursday the 19th of February 2019, 3 p.m. until 5 p.m, venue to be confirmed. Further details can be found on our website www.enfieldccg.nhs.uk.
And I have a letter, or rather an email, from Dave Osborne under the heading World Football. He writes, how great it was to see a lot of the teams in the Con IFA World Football Cup, and indeed the final played at Enfield Town's Football Club Stadium in Donkey Lane, Enfield, a couple of weeks back. Great for Enfield to play host in this worldwide football competition. It was very well supported, well played, well thought out. Well done to all concerned for bringing world football to Enfield.
There follows
Indeed,
some details of the
Enfield
events
forever.
taking place as part of the Enfield Literary Festival over the next week. On Friday, the 29th of June, John Lucas will talk about turf wars are never easy to escape. This will take place between 8 and 9 p.m. at the Dugdale Centre and will cost £8. Turf wars, knives, gangs fighting and complex challenges are explored in John Lucas's debut novel. Maggie Butt interviews author John Lucas about his novel Turf Wars. Jay's life seems pretty sorted. 15 years old and already a rising member of the notorious Blake Street boys gang. He takes his lessons from the street. With a knife in his pocket and his best friend Milk by his side, their days are spent fiercely defending their turf. When Jay gets the chance to step up and become a senior of the boys, he faces the biggest decision of his life. He must stab and kill a classmate and rival gang member or face the consequences. It doesn't take long for Jay's world to spiral out of control. As the line between right and wrong begins to fade, he finds no escape. Jay has to act at what and whose cost. Set against the backdrop of London's inner city tower blocks, in a world where kinning can be easier than choosing what chocolate bar to eat, Turf is a story of intense friendship and brutal gang violence, of loyalty at any cost, even to the price of your own soul. It's the kind of story that continues to dominate front-page headlines under the street gang rule. On a slightly lighter vein, Enfield School's Poetry Night will also be on Friday the 29th at between 6 to 8 p.m. at the Dugdale Centre, also costing £8. After a series of creative poetry workshops across many schools in Enfield, this is a special opportunity to celebrate and enjoy some of the hard work in developing new poetry voices, working alongside celebrated local poets, working on developing a theme around change and global citizens.
These events are taking place on Saturday the 30th of June. Ali Pali Prison Camp. Maggie Butt is doing an event on this, and it's about 100 years ago, 300 civilian men were being held prisoner at Alexandra Palace. They were enemy aliens imprisoned for the 4 years of the First World War. This presentation tells their story in paintings, photographs, poems, extracts from memoirs and letters. And it's at the Dugdale Centre between 11 and 12 noon, and the cost is £5. Linda Carey, who is the education officer from Keats House, is going to run a creative writing workshop for children, explaining how inspiration for poets like Keats can be found in surprising places. Have You a Secret Creative Pulse will be between 12 and 1 p.m. at the Dugdale Centre with a cost of £5. The last event on Saturday is How Pictures and Words Make a Story, a talk and workshop. An author and illustrator of over 50 books, including the immensely popular Polly Price series and the epic new YA Bleak Teen Parallean trilogy, Fever Book 1, Delirium Book 2 and Afterlife Book 3. Elle Schulman writes in a studio overlooking a school quadrangle that bears a striking resemblance to the one at St Magdalene's, though she swears she hasn't actually ever seen Eva or Seth crossing it yet. I think they must be characters in the book. She has a degree in English from York University and went on to study illustration at Harrow School of Art. She has written and or illustrated about 50 books, including the popular, highly original My Totally Secret Diaries series. She has translated into many languages, including Japanese, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Welsh, Dutch and Finnish, though she has no idea how accurately they've been done. She began writing for children when her own children were small, and despite a diet of sherbet fountains and gummy bears, they have insisted on growing up. So her characters have to grow up with them. Her books have frequently been highly recommended in the press and on radio, and she's been shortlisted for numerous awards. Fever is her first book for teenagers, which is surprising considering she lives on a campus with about 760 of them. This session will take place at the Dugdale Centre between 12 noon and 1 o'clock at a cost of £5.
More events at Dugdale on Saturday the 30th of June. Alex Wolff leads a workshop on Want to Write Children and Young Adult Fiction. Local author Alex Wolff leads a workshop on creative writing and talks about how his passion for history and science has helped shape his fiction. Alex Wolff is a published author of over 80 books, mainly for children and young adults. In his non-fiction, he has written on subjects as diverse as sharks, robots, asteroids and chocolate. But his passions are history and science. His fiction includes Chronosphere, a time-warping science fiction trilogy, and Aldo Moon and the Case of the Ghost at Gravewood Hall, about a teenage Victorian ghost hunter, described by best-selling crime writer Peter James as a real delight and at times deliciously ghastly. His novel Soul Shadows, about shadows that come to life, was shortlisted for the 2014 Red Book Award. He's also a regular author for Fiction Express, online publishers of interactive stories for schools, for whom he writes the popular time detective stories. His most recent novel is a steampunk adventure called Iron Sky. This event is from 2 until 3:30 p.m. and costs £5. Martin Russo leads a workshop on Can Community Journalism Help Fill Gaps in Local News? A practical workshop on developing community journalism for Enfield, with an activity on developing news stories, plus a discussion on how community journalism could help fill the gaps in local news stories. And this is from 2 p.m. until 3. Finally, Kurt Barling. What about the R word? Acclaimed academic, journalist and author Kurt Barling will be talking about journalism and his book, The R Word, that explores his experience of racism in Britain today. And this event is from 2 until 3 p.m, cost £5.
And finally, I've got a couple more for Saturday the 30th of June, both at the Dugdale Centre. The first one from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. at a cost of £5 under the heading, Are You in a Trap? Award-winning national children's author Alan Gibbon talks about his new book, The Trap, and explores how change impacts on his characters from the book. Terrorism, heroism, and everything in between. The Trap is a teen thriller about espionage, a missing brother, and the ever-raging war on terror by million-copy-selling author Alan Gibbons. Well, he's just got an S on the end of his name now. MI5 agent Kate receives a tip-off about an asset who seems too good to be true. Amir and Nassima are trying to make friends at their new school, but struggling to keep a terrible secret. A group of jihadists is planning something, and behind it all stands Majid, brother, son, hero, terrorist. Spanning Iraq, Syria and England, The Trap grapples with one of the greatest challenges of our time. Sourced content and words from Hachette Children's Group website. Alan Gibbons is a full-time writer and a visiting speaker and lecturer at schools, colleges and literary events nationwide, including the major book festivals, that is, Edinburgh, Northern Children's Book Festival, Swansea, Cheltenham, Sheffield and Salford. Alan is a key supporter of a high-profile nationwide campaign to champion libraries and librarianship and to re-evaluate government commitment to educational spending. And that again is 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. on Saturday the 30th of June at the Dugdale Centre, £5. Then we have Roger McGough and Little Machine, which is also at the Dugdale Centre, much later, 7:30 p.m. to 10 p.m, and much more expensive, £21.50. 2017 encompassed more McGough milestones than the average year. There's the 50th anniversary of that iconic, well-thumbed and top-selling penguin, Modern Poets No. 10, The Mersey Sound, by Adrian Henry, Roger McGough and Brian Patton. Then the Summer of '67 epic poem of love and lust, broken promises and unfettered dreams, Summer with Monica, being republished later in the year and newly illustrated by the illustrious Chris Riddell, plus a host of countrywide dates with the Bootleg Beatles and the RLPO in It Was 50 Years Ago Today, which sold out at the Royal Albert Hall in a matter of hours. And that again is Roger McGough and Little Machine, Dugdale Centre, 7:30 to 10 p.m. on Saturday the 30th of June.
Success for Enfield Penathlon competitors. The team were pipped a multi-sport title by 10 points at the London final. Disabled pupils from Enfield received silver medals from GB Paralympic legend Baroness Tanny Gray-Thompson at the Copper Box Arena. The Enfield team, comprising of pupils from Westley and Waverley schools, finished second in the Penathlon multisport finals at the prestigious London 2012 venue on Thursday, including sports such as boccia, precision beanbag, new age curling, field athletics and table cricket. The London final was the culmination of a year-long competition encompassing all London boroughs, 16 qualifying competitions, 30 teams and 1,500 competitors. The final itself saw 200 young people take part from 24 schools. Enfield finished 10 points behind Barkingham and Dagenham. who won the title for the third year in succession and a record fifth time overall since it began in 2005.
Positive draw for Enfield sees Summit gap closed. Disappointment for Winchmore Hill and Southgate. This is cricket. Enfield maintained their good Middlesex League form by getting the better of a high-scoring draw against Division 2 leaders Stanmore at Lincoln Road on Saturday. Enfield invited their visitors to bat first and, after an early breakthrough by Faisal Mir, who took 1 wicket for 19, they were made to work hard by an opposing side unbeaten in the league. Half-centuries for Stephen Reingold, who scored 60, Grant Reingold, 51, and Rishi Pandya, 51, all helped Stanmore compile a challenging target. The spin duo of Dan Amidi, 3 for 103, and Amir Ishan, 2 for 79, making his debut for the club, bowled well in tandem, picking up 5 wickets between them. Stanmore opted to bat the maximum allowed 55 overs before declaring on 261 for 7, meaning Enfield received 45 overs in return. In reply, a superb opening spell by Rashid Mulazada, who took 4 for 44, supported by Stanmore's Australian overseas opening bowler, Saul Anstey, who took 2 for 50, initially left Enfield struggling at 42 for 3, with an out-of-sorts Jack Plum scoring 11, Les Edwards 25, and Rehan Hassan nothing, all back in the pavilion. However, an excellent 134-run partnership between Ayush Sahota, who scored 71, and Sam Smith, 80, brought the game back into the balance. Sahota's fine knock was ended by a Yorker from Mulazada, while Smith's composed and well-crafted innings was ended short of a deserved century. Captain Kyle Bacchus-Brown, 15 not out, then steadied the ship and ensured Enfield secured the bonus points on offer for the fastest scoring rate, ultimately finishing on 219 for 6 from their 45 overs, as they closed the gap at the top to just 3 points. Winchmore Hill suffered a disappointing day, as they went down to a 9-wicket defeat at the hands of Harrow St Mary's. Having been put into bat, Hill recovered from the early loss of Morgan Pryor for only 1, with 3 on the board, as Sam Weller, 42, and Jim Gatting, 23, put on 51 for the next wicket. With the exception of captain de la Raid Terre Blanche, 32, though, no other Winchmore batsman was to score more than 15, as they subsided to 166 all out. Harundu Gunasekara, who took 4 for 31, was the pick of the Harrow attack, with the other 6 wickets shared between Caleb Anthony Old, with 3 for 42, and Chris Brown, 3 for 48. Hill needed early wickets if they were to have a chance of defending the low total, but Armand Sunny, 35, and Pritesh Vagela put on 70 before the former was caught by Chris Richards off Gatting, who took 1 for 15. Vagela was to go on and make an unbeaten 76, and number 3, Saeed Kawa Ali Kazmi, with 52 not out, also reaching his half-century before the winning line was passed after 41.2 overs to leave Winchmore 4th from bottom of the table. Now, Southgate are a place and 2 points higher in the table after they were blown away for just 52 in a low-scoring clash with Osterley. Southgate would have fancied their chances after Pranay Rathod's 4 for 61 helped dismiss their opponents for 118 in 30 overs. But the visitors never got close to challenging that total, as they finished on the end of a 66-run defeat.
Now, from Edmonton 100 Historical Society June newsletter. Wartime Tales, 100 years ago in the Edmonton 100. Matters horticultural, the good, the bad and the ugly. All in the garden was not rosy within the borough, as illustrated in the pages of the Enfield Gazette. Good. Flower lovers will be given an opportunity next Sunday from 2 till 4:30 and from 7 till 9 of inspecting a very fine show of foxgloves growing in the grounds adjacent to Yarrow House, Baker Street. Mr. F. Smith, who is an enthusiastic cultivator of this charming flower, has informed us that he hopes, by throwing open the grounds to public inspection, to benefit the Elm House Hospice and our Soldiers' Parcel Fund, between which the admission money will be divided. Local residents are invited to see this feast of colour, which is just now at its best, and at the same time contribute to the funds of deserving causes. No dogs will be allowed. Children must be accompanied by adults. Silver collection. This clearly proved popular, and the sum of £2, 1 shilling and 8p was raised, by which Mr. Smith made up to £3, 30 shillings sent to each good cause. Bad. An Enfield resident is puzzled by the remarkable contrast afforded to 2 rows of Royal Sovereign strawberry plants in his garden. 3-year-old plants growing parallel and apparently in good condition, while one row gives a promise of a generous yield of fruit. On the neighbouring row there is not the least sign of even one berry. 4 or 5 yards of sterile plants. The owner is curious to know if this diversity can be explained. Either a bad week for news, or it was the editor's garden. And ugly. Edward Skinner, 13, errand boy, Gordon Lane, Enfield, was charged with stealing on June the 12th from an orchard in Cherry Orchard Lane a quantity of growing gooseberries, valued 1 shilling. He was further charged with damaging a barbed wire fence, valued at 5 shillings, and with assaulting Nathan Munsey, the prosecutor. Mr. Munsey said he caught the prisoner in the orchard taking the fruit. When he told the lad the police would be sent for, he bit him on the hand. He was fined 5 shillings each on the first and second charges and 10 shillings on the third charge. A case of biting the hand that feeds you.
We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Jane, Kitty, John and Ali, and Peter on the controls, it's
Cheerio.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the memory stick into the packet in a closed position, and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diana Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with the Enfield Talking newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.